Good evening from Swansea wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. This Sunday, it's NXT's Great American Bash premium live event, so we are going to be giving our predictions for that on today's show, as well as, previewing tonight's episode of WWE SmackDown. It feels like I'm saying this every weekend at this point, but it's just, wrestling is just absolutely stacked right now. But for such, a stacked weekend, I need a stacked panel. So firstly, joining me, the head of reviewing Q Wrestling Republic, clean cut, Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
I mean, you didn't even let the camera see it first, but I mean, that's fine. We're here. Of course, the title says Great American Bash predictions. I'll be on the call on Sunday when I'm reviewing the show. I'm excited for it. NXT pay-per-views in general have been generally really well done and enjoyable shows throughout the year, and I'm glad they're back on the road and not doing the events strictly in the PC or whatever they're still calling it right now. But anyway, I'm here to enjoy it. I'm here to enjoy it. I know I will. And let's talk.
Absolutely. And yeah, honestly, I don't even know what they're calling it now. Is it still the Capital Wrestling Center, or has that changed? I have no clue. But also joining us, talking about head of departments, we have the head of opinions here, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
Doing all right. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's been a while since I've done a pay-per-view prediction show, I think, for a while. But I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Absolutely. And happy birthday to you as well, Anthony, because it's Anthony's birthday today. But also joining us, we have Shad. How are you, Shad?
What's going on, Ben? I'm here. I just got in the house from work, so ready to work again. Definitely excited to talk about NXT. It's one of my guilty pleasures of the week, one of my favorite weekly shows personally. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. And we've got a comment here in the chat from Wasif, and he is saying, "Let's go, Shardy!" Shout out to Shad there. But
salute, Wasif.
Let's get right into things. And let's firstly start with the 8-man tag match for NXT Great American Bash. Now, this is an intergender 8-man tag team match as well, so I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if I'm going to be personally a fan of this one, because I'm just not a fan of multi-man tag matches when it's more than, trios. And I'm also not a fan of mixed tag team matches either, just because it kind of kills the momentum at times for me. But who knows? Hopefully they will prove me wrong. But Dragon Lee and Nathan Fraser will be teaming up with Usila Leon and Valentina Feroz to take on the Metaphor, who are Noam Dar, Oro Mensah, Jakara Jackson, and Lash Legend. So even though I'm not a fan of 4-on-4 tag team matches, it is a stacked match, I will say that much. But Coby, what are your thoughts heading into this match, and who do you think will get the win?
My thoughts going into this, and because that's the thing. Keep in mind, this has been not one of the longer builds to this pay-per-view, but obviously the longest is the tag match, which I'll get into later. But this rivalry, or this match is using all parties that are involved. We have Ulissa Leone and Valentina Feroz that have come into this to help defend Nathan and Dragon Lee. They were the corner men for the Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazier Heritage Cup match less than a month ago. At the end of the day, yes, it's silly seeing Noam Dar in a wheelchair for 4 weeks, acting like he's so heartbroken, and then when they give him a replica Heritage Cup, he jumps for joy. And I mean, it's lighthearted fun, it's comedy. They are really developing chemistry, the Metaphor, and Nathan Frazier and Dragon Lee, you're always going to get really good action from them, especially with Noam Dar and Oro Mensah. He was Oliver Carter in NXT UK, and he was a really good wrestler despite being more a tag team wrestler. He was one of the last tag team champions. before they had to vacate it. He had a really good. They had a really good match with Mustache Mountain at the time, but at the end of the day, like a lot of these guys are entertaining, and Lash Legend and Jakar Jackson are coming into their own. They're it's not Lash Legend from a year and a half ago when she was very green in the ring. Now she's done a lot of the dark matches, she's done the live NXT live events, and she has a lot more experience under her belt. And I know Jakar Jackson's really standing out to the people who do pay attention to NXT and NXT level up as well. So it should be a fun match. I'm not expecting anything massive like the last 8-man, which was Stand and Deliver, which had the Schism versus the Tyler Bate and the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be anything incredibly special, but it should set the tone for the night because it is on the kickoff show.
Oh, okay, right. Well, now you telling me that it's on the kickoff show. I'm a lot happier about that because an 8-man tag on the main card of an NXT show, I don't know how I'd feel about that personally. I really do I just dislike 8-man tag team matches. It just sounds like I'm just complaining now about them. So we'll move swiftly on and let's move on to somebody who I am a fan of. Dirty Dominic Mysterio, who will be, of course, with Rhea Ripley in his corner, taking on Wesley and Mustafa Ali in a triple threat match for the North American Championship. And this is actually perhaps the match I'm most excited for. I think it's going to be a banger. I know they were building up Wesley and Ali, but obviously with the Judgment Day storyline, we're theorizing heading into SummerSlam that perhaps all but one of the Judgment Day will be walking out of SummerSlam as champion. So because of that storyline on the main roster, Dirty Dominic Mysterio has to have the title. And because of that reason, I'm going for the retain for him. But what about you, Anthony? What do you think will happen in this encounter? And who do you see walking out as the North American champion?
I think this is one of those matches that could really be match of the night. There's talent involved in here that could pull that off. When you look at Dominic, he's definitely improved since he became a heel. They had to put a belt on him, but you're not going to take the belt off of Gunther to give it to him, and he's not going to get any other title, so it made sense to give him, I guess, the title in NXT. I love the line that Ali said to him this past week where he, berated him and said, you stole the 619 off of your one father and stole the frog splash off of your other. I thought that was a nice callback to his history. I think it's going to be a competitive match. I think most likely Dom's probably going to squeak it out and retain, probably due to Rhea's involvement. I think he holds it at least through SummerSlam. Maybe he loses it the next show or he loses on a weekly TV, but I think he does retain it this weekend.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, Anthony. Bang on. I don't think it's going to be a super long title reign for Dirty Dom, but for the storyline of the Judgment Day, it's almost obvious that he's going to retain. And if he doesn't, well, then it will raise, a few eyebrows as to why he even won it in the first place. But that is a conversation, in the situation, in the rare case that perhaps we're all wrong and he doesn't end up winning it. But now let's move on and let's talk about the NXT Women's Division. Let's talk the NXT Women's Championship as Tiffany Stratton will be defending against Thea Hale. And the big thing which, shocks me about this one, right, and this storyline between Tiffany Stratton and, of course, Chase U have been going on for quite a few weeks now. But the big thing that surprises me about all of this is that Thea Hale is only 19. She's younger than me. This is the first time where, covering wrestling, I felt old. It's like, what? But, she's only 19 years old. And, I mean, today, or yesterday, I actually think it was 10 years since Total Divas, the original episode of Total Divas aired. Thea Hale would have been 9 when it aired. It's a mind-baffling statistic there. But the real question is, will she win NXT Women's Gold at the Great American Bash? Shard, give me your thoughts on this one.
Wow, you feel old about her being 19. Imagine how I feel, bro. But nah, in all seriousness, I've enjoyed the story of this entire feud. Let's not forget the first time they had a match. Thea Hale technically made her tap. The referee was out cold.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a redemption story. I've been impressed with the character of Thea Hale. I think she, for someone so young, has been able to pick up the business so well in regards to building a character and being pretty solid in the ring. With the whole, her being the young student at Chase U and kind of building itself up and then, training for this moment. I've liked it, but I'm sorry, Thea Hale. It's still Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton will retain on Sunday because, in my opinion, Tiffany Stratton is the best under 25 women's wrestler in pro wrestling right now.
Wow.
I think that she has everything down to a T in regards to character wise, mic skills, within segments she could maybe polish some stuff up, but in regards to character arc, I mean, the Barbie movie just came out. We literally have Barbie meets like the Valley Girl character. She plays it to a T, and in ring, she's phenomenal, man. This is a athlete, a person who never even wrestled before, coming to the performance center, working with, I think it was with Finley in a school from an interview I saw, and just picking up the in-ring part of it, and she's become a superstar, and I think she's the next breed of a superstar when she hits the main roster. This is a wrestler that I truthfully think that could main event a WrestleMania down the road and have feuds amongst some of the best in the business. So I got Tiffany Stratton retaining, but I think it's going to be a good match, and I think it'll be good for Thea Hale. She'll be a winner to keep building up her character arc and her reign at NXT as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, Tiffany Stratton, you said it. She's a great talent. Thea Hale, only 19. She's also a great talent. I mean, you have two young women in this match who have, really bright careers ahead of them. And it's exciting to see. I mean, Thea Hale is somebody who I have a feeling down the line they're going to turn her heel in NXT. And I really hope they don't, because she's just somebody who's so automatically likable.
The energy with her is just contagious, man. She's so initially when she first started, I thought it was like, okay, this is a little cheesy a little bit, but I think she's honed into it very well. And I think she's got she's got a very likable personality, just how exciting she is and her being so young. She's got kind of that babyface demeanor. So I would not turn her heel either if I was them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to be a babyface. It's so, so hard. And very few people have that, it's automatic ability to be one. And like you said, she undoubtedly has that. I mean, other people such as, Bailey have had it over the years. And actually, she reminds me a lot of Bailey in that way. Now, of course, Bailey's also just a tremendous heel. So you're in a situation there where it's like, well, she does both great. But Thea Hale, honestly, I would not turn her heel at least until she's during her main roster run, if they need to do something to freshen her up, because she's got so much potential in WWE. But talking about people who have a lot of potential, Gallus will be defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against the family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, at Great American Bash. And of course, this storyline's been going on quite a while now. Tony D'Angelo got locked up. However, he is now a free man, and he is coming to get that gold. I've been a big fan of the Tony D'Angelo gimmick since it started. I really have. And I'd love to see him get gold. At the same time, Gallus, they're a super experienced tag team. However, if I'm being honest, I think Gallus have been due a call-up now for quite a while. So I do hope the family win this one. But Coby, who do you think is going to walk away with the tag team gold?
Sorry, I had a bit of a cough right there. At the end of the day, like I said earlier, this is the most built match on the show. Tony D'Angelo got locked up in May, and they did his return a few weeks ago. At the end of the day, this had a lot of twists and turns. We have him being put in jail. We have Stacks doing all the talking, and then it really wrapped up this month with, oh, Stacks helped Gallus retain. Oh, we have Joe Coffey trying to tell Tony that Stacks is going to turn on him, and Stacks wants to overgrow the Dawn. A lot of this is, yes, it's different storytelling. I'm calling this soap opera drama because it's soap opera drama, but this is just so fitting in wrestling. It fits the character. Tony's a mafia style character, and it's entertaining. It's genuinely hard to predict where they go because Tony D started off so well. He had a rivalry. He was in War Games. He had that rivalry with Pete Dunne. He had the send off of Tommaso Ciampa in that. I enjoyed that match from that year, from that event. At the end of the day, now it's like, okay, well, he's cooled off, but yet he's face. I don't know where this match goes because I don't know if they want to put the titles on Tony. I don't know if we're going to actually see a heel turn from Stacks. I'd be interested in it. I don't know where it goes. I'm excited. To me, my gut tells me Gallus retains.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, do you think that perhaps it's, it's overdue for them to be called up yet to the main roster, or do you think that they do need to still develop a little bit more in NXT, Gallus?
See, I mean, this is where it's a matter of these guys have a lot of experience, and I don't know what more would staying in NXT do. The one thing I'll say is they really haven't let Joe Coffey wrestle a lot. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's working a lot of live events, but as an on TV televised star, he's done some Level Up and he's barely done some NXT TV. I don't know if there's anything in relation to that, but Joe Coffey's very much a supporting character, and until if there's a reason for it, until Joe Coffey is being put in that position as the leader or is in not a top singles role, but is actually wrestling more often where they they have a central figure that they could push. I don't think they call them up yet. Because right now they're kind of just three guys. I think in the main roster they're going to want to push them as, okay, there's a tag team they can push, but there's also the top guy. There's Joe Coffey in that position where they could put him in a single spot for an IC title, for a US title, that type of thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know why Joe Coffey's barely wrestling now, and I don't like it because I do enjoy him as a talent.
Yeah.
So it's odd. So I don't know if they get a call up anytime soon until that happens.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, back, Coby, we used to watch NXT UK all the time. Joe Coffey was having bangers in NXT UK. So I really don't know what they're doing there. Maybe he
shaved. I mean, he
perhaps.
shaved his head not his head, but he shaved like most of it because he used to have the very long hair. But I mean, I don't know.
Buried.
Like, that's the thing. Because that's the thing. I don't know. He was a compelling top star in NXT UK, and now it's like, okay, well, he's very much playing a supporting role. I don't know if he's working something. I don't know if they're worried about pushing him. I don't know. I couldn't see them saying, "Oh, I don't think he's ready yet," but I don't know where they go. I do think Alice wins. I'd like to see Tony get his comeuppance because he started off so hot and then cooled down, but I don't know where they go.
Fair enough. I mean, there's a lot of ways they can go, and this match is certainly one to keep an eye on. But one match which a lot of eyes will be on is Gable Steveson against Baron Corbin. We know Clark, of course, gave us the entire speech earlier this week about how great Gable Steveson was in wrestling. And now he's transitioned into professional wrestling. Hopefully, we could be seeing the next Kurt Angle on our hands. A criticism a lot of people have had for him is, he's not exactly shown that much charisma at times. However, like Clark said on the show the other day, in college wrestling, people were complaining that he had too much charisma and that he was being too much of a show off. So perhaps, he just needs to get used to it a little bit. And perhaps, when the big spotlight's on him this Sunday, hopefully he will stand and deliver, pun intended. But he will be taking on Baron Corbin, who's currently going, and he's currently in a repackage of sorts, a little bit of a weird one, where he's got rid of all his old gimmicks. However, when he returned this week, we haven't really seen much of a change, apart from he's now saying, "I don't care anymore." Well, will he care about this match? I think it's a certainty Gable Steveson will win this, because I don't think they're going to have him lose his debut. But the real question is, will he deliver? Shad, I'll pass it to you. What do you think about this match, and who do you see winning?
I think the matchup makes sense, but it doesn't make sense in a weird way. I think putting Gable in a match with a veteran like Baron Corbin, who's been in the business for a while, will kind of be able to like lead in direct ways. And just the visual of Baron Corbin being such a massive human being, tall, bigger dude. And when Gable, his bread and butter goes through those suplexes, it's going to make Gable look well. My only issue is I feel like we've been doing such a good job of bringing back Baron Corbin with this repackage and making him like the lone wolf again, where you're booking him to lose again immediately, like kind of right after he got on to this. And I don't like that too much, because I feel Baron Corbin is a guy that, he's such a team player for whatever it may be. He handles every role given, and he does what he needs to do. Like, we've seen it for years upon years upon years now. And I mean, maybe it's him being a vet and just kind of giving back to the young guys. Maybe that's the reason why he is on NXT. But part of me is just like, well, what's the point of repackaging and kind of giving him, like, when I think of a repackage, I feel like, all right, that means he's about to be built back up and do something big. So that's my only issue with that. But in regards to the match, I'm thinking it's going to be good for Gable, because, I mean, your first match is going to be against a dude who's normally on the main roster, who's a vet, who's, wrestled all major pay-per-views. And this is a very, this is a big match for Gable, because Gable Steveson, because this is kind of your introduction to everything, in the WWE setting. We know how incredible he is as a collegiate and Olympic wrestler. That's half the fight when you come to the WWE. It's what you do with the selling, facial expressions, all of that. And then it also goes upon what your character arc is going to be. I know we want to give the comparison to Kurt Angle. You could even give a comparison to someone like Chad Gable. Those two guys understood the business and got to the business, and they're able to play the character and play their part for it. So whatever his character ends up being, whether they lean on his name's, name, image, and likeness, and being the Olympic gold medal guy, or if he comes off just being, if he's got that charisma like Clark was saying, just being like, I'm that dude, like coming with the Letterman jacket, just being that guy, like the jock on a wrestling team in high school. I mean, that could work for him. So this is a big litmus test for him off the jump. I'm not expecting him to have like a 5-star match and him to be amazing, but he definitely does have to give the people something to look forward to watch continuously if he is going to be on the WWE and NXT platform.
I absolutely agree with you there. And I would love that if he just came in as, the overconfident heel type thing, like kind of similar to how Kurt Angle, what ended up happening with him, where, everyone thought he was being pushed as a face and he ended up being pushed as a heel in the end. But, I mean, that would be super interesting again. I mean, it wouldn't help. There probably would be even more, comparisons between him and Kurt if that happens. But if he is just generally somebody who's very cocky, you might as well just let him be him. As especially when people come into professional wrestling with not that much experience in acting, someone just letting them be themselves is the key. So we're going to have to wait and see what Gable Steveson does, but I'm certainly excited for this match, and it's certainly the one which I won't actually see the most. Just see if Gable Steveson really is the next big thing. But now moving on, let's move back to the women's division and let's talk about another young talent, Roxanne Perez, who's impressed everyone since she made her NXT debut a couple of years ago now. But she's working back to try and get the NXT Women's Gold. However, on the road to get there, she has to face Blair Davenport. And the rivalry between these two has become quite personal in recent weeks. So who do you think is going to win the match, Anthony?
I've always been a fan of Roxanne Perez. The first time I saw her was in Ring of Honor towards the end of the Sinclair days when she won the women's title before Tony Khan bought it. So she's a trainee of Booker T's. She's gotten over with the crowd. She's easily likable. I think she's a natural face, and Blair Davenport's a natural heel. So the two of them together should be able to put together a pretty decent match. I thought there was a bit of an irony of the fact that this past week, Roxanne was beating up Blair in a supermarket, which is kind of like a roles reverse thing because Booker got beat up by Austin and Booker was the heel. So I thought, I don't know if that was an homage to Booker that they were doing that. I did like, they showed a harder edge to Roxanne that Blair has pushed her to an edge where she's getting more aggressive. I don't know if this is going to be a one and done or if they're going to do more matches and, up the stipulations as they go along. I think it's going to be interesting.
I 100% agree with you on that. But now let's talk about the big one. The main event of NXT Great American Bash, where Carmelo Hayes will be defending the NXT Championship against Ilya Dragunov. And I am excited for this one. I've been a fan of Dragunov for years. I remember watching his matches with, the artist formerly known as Walter in a WXW. It must have been nearly 5 years ago now. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but it was a few years ago. It was pre-pandemic for sure. And they just beat the living hell out of each other. Walter and Dragunov then did it again, of course, in NXT UK. That was a banger as well. But now Dragunov gets a title opportunity at the big one. The NXT Championship against Carmelo Hayes. And yeah, this is going to be an old-fashioned NXT takeover style match, if you will. I'm hyped for it, but Shad, what do you think heading into this main event? And who do you see walking out with the NXT gold?
I mean, it's hard to not be excited for this matchup. I mean, you're talking about two of the best, if not the two best men's wrestlers on the NXT brand. I mean, the work that Carmelo Hayes has been doing since the initial start when we had that, Adam Cole moment in the ring to where he is now, he's had a meteoric rise, and he's been, he's took the ball and he's been running with it, man. He's been running. He don't miss, like what he says. When Melo doesn't miss, he's become a superstar. And I think him and Trick Williams together have just been phenomenal. And then you have a guy like Ilya Dragunov, who him and Walter, like you mentioned, those matches are two matches I absolutely love. The guy is an incredible in-ring competitor. He's got a very prestige style to him, and he has a very, he's such a tough dude, being the smaller guy. He's got you wouldn't even tell him and Walter are that far in height and weight, just how much of a G he is. But in regards to who's gonna win, with all that we've been seeing with this Bobby Lashley, recruiting backstage on SmackDown, I think this would be the best and perfect opportunity for Carmelo Hayes to lose in an honorable classic match versus a guy who has a ton of classic matches under his belt, and Dragunov. I got Ilya Dragunov beating Carmelo Hayes in just it may be one of these match of the year contenders on Sunday, and him taking the reign as the next NXT champ. Because obviously we knew he was the champ on the UK brand. He's going to be the champ this time around on NXT. And then I think he'd be a good champ to, run its course for the next few months, have good feuds versus some of these up-and-coming heels on the roster. And I think it's time for Melo and Trick Williams to get to the main roster, whether it's in this faction that we're going to see of a revived Hurt Business. Salute to Coby on that article too, which would kind of look like a little bit of an evolution. I like that article a lot. If y'all didn't read it, go ahead and read it. I think it's gonna be. I think it's the perfect time for it, man. I think this guy is ready for it, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to get the title off of him, let him go up, and then have a good, honorable champion to get it off him.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you as well. Yeah, you touched on it. The fact that, they're doing this entire
Real,
thing.
my bad, not an article, my bad, the Real.
Yeah, the Real by Coby, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you touched on it, Shad. They're doing this, story with Bobby Lashley on SmackDown where he's recruiting the Street Profits. He's now, teased recruiting Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams last week. I mean, like we said, that would be a great faction. Like Coby said, a new age. Evolution, perhaps. It'd be very, very fun. Gets me excited. But Carmelo Hayes has a bright, bright future. I called him the next big thing in 2018. I did an interview with him for an online magazine, the Wrestling Republic Monthly, we called it, which I was doing throughout 2018. And I did an interview with him then. And I said he was going to be the next big thing. And look at him. He has become that. And I'm so, so happy to see him, achieve all of this. But I do think it's time for him to move to the main roster. So, yeah, I do see Dragunov taking the NXT Gold this Sunday. But now, let's move on and let's talk tonight. Not Sunday, tonight. Because tonight is WWE Friday Night SmackDown. And there are only 2 matches currently announced for this. Now, literally every week when we do these preview shows, they announce matches as we're on air. The one week that I wait until, we're on air to actually write it, they've not announced any. But oh well, that's just our luck. But the 2 matches that are announced is, firstly, the OC's Carl Anderson will square off against Karrion Kross. And I think this is going to be a fun match if it gets some time. I'm not sure if it will. It might just be a squash. But Carl Anderson, we saw it when he returned to New Japan. We saw it before we came to WWE in 2016 as well. He is somebody he's great in singles action. He's he's main evented New Japan shows. That's something which a lot of people forget, right? I'm about main evented in singles action. He's had a great, great singles career. And to just the WWE fan, you may not notice that. But, when you look at a broader perspective and, watch New Japan, you can see that. And I'm hoping we see that version of Carl Anderson against Karrion Kross tonight, because that could make for a low-key banger of a bout. But then in the other announced match, this one was, of course, announced last week after the past 2 weeks before that, we had 2 fatal 4-ways. And this is the final of the United States Championship Invitational Tournament, as Rey Mysterio will battle his protege, Santos Escobar. And the winner will go on to face Austin Theory, I presume at SummerSlam, maybe before SummerSlam on an episode of SmackDown. One of the 2, I'd guess. But of course, it's mentor versus student, Mysterio versus Escobar. I'm excited for this one. I hope it'll actually main event the show, because they built this tournament up for the last few weeks now. And we know that these 2 could put on a banger. That won't surprise anybody. In terms of who wins this, I'm not actually sure. I'm really, really not. I'll pass it to you first, Shad. Who do you think will win Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar? And what are you most excited for on SmackDown?
I think this would be a good opportunity for Santos Escobar to get the win over his mentor. If I'm not mistaken, they wrestled before, right? Like sometime, was it earlier this year when he first got onto it?
I believe so.
So, and I think that kind of built in what we're seeing now. I think now it's Mr. Miyagi versus Danielson. I think the right call would be for Santos Escobar to beat Rey Mysterio this time around. Rey Mysterio, absolute legend, man. One of the greatest, if not the greatest luchador of all time. This is where you, like I mentioned with the Edge and Grayson Waller, even though Edge won, it's time to give back, man. This, even though Santos might not be the youngest guy, this is his time. He's in his prime. Give back to the younger star. I think Santos is going to win, and I think Santos is going to be the one to beat Austin Theory because this LWO backing is – they see a lot in him. Okay, I think it may be the first time they ever had a one-on-one match, but regardless, I think it is going to be a situation where they're going to – continue this meteoric rise for Santos Escobar and LWO as a faction. So I think he's going to win. I'm hoping it's the case. I wouldn't be surprised if Ray won. I think it's going to be Santos. In regards to what I'm most excited for tonight's show, it's probably this match, to be honest with you. I mean, they've been building up this entire tournament going in for Theory's title pretty well with these last two matches. And, I know everyone is kind of upset that LA Knight didn't get his victory, and he's not the one that is probably going to fight Theory. It's okay. Yeah. But I think it's all right at this point because I think you got two guys in this match that deserve their just due. And I like the story of it, man. I like the story of two faction mates going to war for the love of this sport and for the opportunity to be the winner. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. Please don't break up the faction, WWE. No one goes heel. Let's make this a clean fight. OG versus the young guy. That's what I'm most hyped for.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope you are right. Let's not have a heel turn. But Anthony, what about you? Are you excited for SmackDown tonight? And what are you most excited for?
Well, I mean, anything that they do with the next stage or whatever the bloodline story is going to be interesting. But as far as matches go, I think out of the two that are announced, I think you have to go Escobar Mysterio, which I think was a final that no one really was expecting. I think everyone thought, like Shad said, LA Knight was the presumed guy to be in this thing, the presumed guy to face Austin Theory. I think this can go either way. I think Escobar should win because he is the young guy and the win would mean more to him. But the question is, do they give it to Mysterio to have Theory beat Mysterio? Are they still trying the Theory experiment to have him beat, legends to try to get over? Or is that the plan? Is this still going to lead to possibly LA Knight somewhere down the road? Is he the guy? Are they finally going to listen and give LA Knight his just due? Are they going to do that? I hope they wouldn't go heel turn with Escobar. If Escobar loses, it wouldn't shock me if they did it, especially if they wanted to go to the mentor protege thing. But you kind of just did that with Ray and Dom.
Yeah,
I don't think you should do that, especially, they're talking about the sale numbers for the LWO merch. I don't think it would be a smart move to break them up.
Yeah.
I think that, financially, that's what they care about. So I don't think they're going to break it up. But I think Escobar should win, and he should be the guy to beat Theory if they're not going to pull the trigger on LA Knight at some point.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. You touched on it. The sale numbers, they're great for the LWO merch. So why would you split them up this early? I think there's a lot more they can do together as a faction. But Coby, what do you think heading into the show? Are you excited? And, do you disagree? Do you think Santos will be turning heel?
No, I don't think he would be turning heel because they really are playing this. Well, the two faces, the two top stars of the LWO, essentially, Ray versus Santos. Of course, this match is going to mean so much to Santos at the end of the day, and that is very much showing in his character. What I like is, like you said, make this match the main event or let it go on later on in the card, because you can do those backstage segments. You can show either them one-on-one, Santos being interviewed, what does this match mean to you to face Rey Mysterio, blah blah blah, or they're talking to each other and they're talking, like having Rey and Santos sit there and the respect being displayed. But I do agree, there's that unpredictable value of, well, Santos just beat Theory last week. Does that mean he instantly gets this win? And then what is going to happen? Because even if Santos wins, I assume Theory goes over next week or at SummerSlam, whatever. That's the question. Does Rey get one of those sneaky victories, and you can play the the legend, or he had the more experience and he snuck the victory. You could play that route. You genuinely could. At the end of the day, I almost am more inclined to say Rey's gonna win because of my gut, but definitely Santos should be the one to win. I just don't know if that's the route they actually take. In terms of Karrion Kross and Carl Anderson, the best way you can kind of perform this match is, I don't think you need to make this match go too long. Yes, like you said, Carl Anderson's a hell of a singles athlete. Yes, if he needs to be, he can. At the end of the day, you could almost play like you said, like I said earlier with the other match. If you were going to have a backstage interview or Karrion Kross talking, maybe Karrion Kross plays onto the fact, well, you used to be such a singles athlete, used to be such a solo act, blah blah blah. Now, but you've always been a tag team wrestler with Luke Gallows. The way I would almost do this match, if I have the book and I have the pen and I'm the producer, or I'm telling the agent what my vision is, I want it to be something where Carl Anderson slips up and Karrion Kross capitalizes, because that's where you can play the character of all it takes is one thing, all it takes is one move, and you're done. Doomsday will be brought upon you once you mess up. Do it that way. Obviously, if I have to predict, Karrion Kross gets the win, unless they really want to shag the shovel. AJ Styles interferes and Carl Anderson rolls him up. No, there's no way that happens. Karrion Kross gets the win in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have to agree with you there, Coby. Or maybe, Carl Anderson's going to be the next Universal Champion. Maybe he's the one to beat Roman Reigns. That would be a real shock. But we got Clark, the co-host of the show, who's on his day off today, but still in the comments, and he's saying, are you guys going to predict the results of the Backyard Great American Bash I'm currently hosting? Oh, no. It's Clark and Carter rolling again around.
I was going to say, there's
wrestling.
not a lot of room in that backyard to roll with you two rolling. So.
I'm going to jump on a call with them tomorrow, and they're going to be covered in bruises again like the other day. And we've also got Matt Williams in the chat, who's saying that he's excited for the season premiere of Heels, which is a great drama about pro wrestling and worth the watch. If you haven't seen season 1, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't actually seen season 1. I'm not sure if there's a way to watch it in the UK, but I've heard very good things about it, and I would, I'd love to watch it at some point. But yeah, I hope you enjoy that, Matt. I'm not even sure when it does.
AJ Lee isn't she like? I saw like the little clip of her working the ring.
AJ Lee's playing a role now too. Same with Punk.
She looked like she could still go in the ring, man.
A cheeky return. But talking about cheeky things, if you guys are watching on Spotify, please leave a cheeky 5-star. It helps us out big time. Our Spotify viewership, we're trying to grow it. So we appreciate every single one of you there. If you're on YouTube, we appreciate you guys watching too so much. Please hit a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. We're over 500 subscribers now. We're growing, and we are growing quickly. We'll be back tomorrow the same time to talk about SmackDown, give our thoughts on the show, and maybe preview Collision a little bit. Who knows? But thank you to Coby, thank you to Shad, and thank you to Anthony for joining me here today. It was a great show, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your evening.